Culture, the inheritance of an array of behavioral traditions through social learning from others, was once thought specific to humans. But today we know animals rely on culture to survive. The present century has witnessed an explosion in discoveries about social learning and culture. The reach of culture has similarly been discovered to span diversity in behavioral domains. And social learning has been identified in choices of diet, prey types, nest sites, migratory pathways, and mates, as well as in shaping foraging techniques, tool use, vocal repertoires, courtship displays, predator recognition, circadian rhythms, allogrooming patterns, social customs, and even play patterns. Communities rely on complex information about how to live in changing environments and seasons. And they rely on elders to teach them. The cultural education of animals is a long process and takes place in phases, from infancy to adolescence to adulthood, as individuals learn what they need to know for each stage of life. Socially learned skills, traditions, and dialects that answer the question of how we live here are crucial to helping many populations survive, which is why it's almost impossible to release animals into unfamiliar landscapes. Survival of released individuals is severely undermined if there are no free-living elder role models. We now know animals rely so heavily on cultural education, it can take a lifetime of learning. The education of a parrot can take up to 8 years. Across the species, cultural education is the foundation for animal life. Orangutans learn virtually all of their skills socially. And culture so permeates whales' lives that culture is a major part of what the whales are. In the nature versus nurture debate, it turns out that upbringing is far more influential than once assumed, as has been demonstrated in animals adopted by other species. When a nice, normal loon family has a nice, normal chick or two riding around, diving, and eating fish, we assume chicks ride parents by instinct, dive by instinct, and eat fish simply because that's loon dinner. It takes a wayward duckling in an alien family to give us a whiff of how much cultural learning goes on, and how much flexibility exists each step of the way. Mallards never ride their parents' back, loons do, and this adopted mallard did. Mallards never swim underwater, loons do, and this adopted mallard did. Mallards never catch fish, loons do, and this adopted mallard ate the fish its loon parents fed it. From the moment animals are born, they start forming their cultural worldview and preferences. From very early in life, young can learn aspects of their sex and species from interactions with parents and siblings. These interactions will affect their preferences later in life, and even how they choose their mates. Animals like partners who resemble their parents even if they're adopted. Researchers observe that mallard ducks are interested in sexual partners of the species that provided them with parental care as children instead of other adults of their own species when forming pairs. And that baby goats raised by sheep mothers often choose sheep as partners in later life. Animals learn who they will be and where and how they will live. And the learning begins from day one. From the moment animals leave their nest to forage, they must start learning about their environment in order to find their way back home. They must learn what to eat and where to find it, and how to avoid specific dangers. This initial education comes from parents who start by teaching their young about different foods and specific dangers. Young chicks learn to associate certain foods and dangers with certain calls that their parents teach them. Young whales traveling to feeding grounds for the first time learn the route from their mothers and often follow the same route throughout their lives. An animal's education goes through primary, secondary, and tertiary phases. After a primary education from their parents, secondary education comes from non-parental conspecifics belonging to a previous generation, such as aunts, uncles, or unrelated teachers. As young animals' social world and focus of education begin to expand, they start learning from the most successful or skilled individuals in the community. Pools of knowledge, skills, courtship techniques get relayed through generations like a torch. As youngsters learn their unique skills, traditions, and culture from their elders. Young birds who learn their songs from neighboring older males go off to school to study their songs. The young bird disperses from his natal area at about 30 days of age and moves to an area occupied by adult song sparrows, where he learns the songs of the resident males and attempts to establish his own territory. The birds even have a schedule. Adults sing until late July, then are silent for about a month. They resume singing in September. Different groups learn different skills from the experts. Young capuchin monkeys begin to attend to the best nut-cracking models in their group, typically not their mother. Young male gorillas may apprentice themselves to an adult male to learn about diets, what they would not learn from their mother. A pattern seen in species of both monkeys and apes. Young mongooses inherit their foraging niche from non-parent adult cultural role models. Young squirrels learn how to open nuts from experienced individuals. And youngsters learn to acquire a fear of novel predators from their experienced elders. They learn how to hunt and how to safely eat venomous prey. The complexity of an animal's education goes beyond what meets the eye. For example, young meerkats don't just have to learn how to build burrows, but also the social and environmental factors that determine how burrows are used. Meerkats have more than 1,000 bolt holes in their territory, and they use different burrows for different reasons, under different circumstances. Researchers found that A multitude of environmental and social factors shape daily group decisions of where to spend the night. They found that rates of switching burrows increased after encounters with predators and when resources were depleted. Youngsters have to learn about how and when different burrows are used and acquire detailed knowledge of the direction and the distance of specific locations. They also have to learn who to defer to, because dominant females in the group have the most influence on burrow decisions. Social politics become part of the youngsters' education as they become part of a larger group. They have to learn about social dynamics or hierarchies, who has authority, and how group decisions are made. They have to learn about relationships, territories, politics, and coordinated group activities. Their education becomes more complex as the seasons change. Because as seasons change, so do food sources. And animals have to learn how to survive in each season differently. They have to learn how to stay warm or cool down, where to go when food or water is scarce, how to prepare or store food, and in some cases, how to travel multi-thousand-mile journeys. They have to learn how to navigate to new destinations by reading landmarks, skies, stars, and oceans. They have to learn where stopovers are and where to find the best weather conditions for raising young. Tertiary education begins as individuals move to new territories to start families of their own. When sexually maturing males or females disperse to breed further afield, they learn from knowledgeable residents about new local foraging opportunities and predation risks, as well as whom to defer to in social interactions. In this phase, the immigrants learn from knowledgeable residents. They learn where and how to build homes. They learn about how to deal with competition, how to choose mates, and how to perfect their courting skills. They learn how to raise young and how to pass the same cultural knowledge on to them. Their cultural knowledge is always evolving. Animals adjust their techniques and methods, such as nesting locations or building techniques, by observing the success of others using those techniques. Through public information, eavesdropping, and copying, culture evolves. And different trends come and go. Animals choose who to learn from by observing who is most successful. Forming connections with successful individuals by grooming or other bonding activities can provide increased opportunities for observing and learning from them. A study on lemurs suggests traditions are maintained by a self-reinforcing core of socially and culturally central individuals. In humans, individuals with such characteristics have been described as becoming prestigious, and figures from whom cultural traits are preferentially copied. The lemur study found that these cultural figures were the most sought after by keen apprentices, who made efforts to network with them. Knowledgeable individuals did not increase the amount of outgoing ties, but their network position changed due to receiving more incoming ties. The researchers wrote, "Animal behavior is far more rich and flexible than we generally tend to think.